many of us have to go to the doctor? I think the better question yet is what makes us go to the doctor? Of course, the obvious answer is you're sick. But if you're like many Americans and insurance is copays and other stuff like that is a barrier, then you might think twice before just heading to the doctor. Did you know that the US is one of the only developed nations that does not have universal health care? This is due to many factors. For one, the healthcare industry in the US generates large amounts of revenue for the United States. Second, insurance companies and other private sectors of the healthcare industry have large amounts of influence over politics and laws that can effectively change healthcare in order to make a universal healthcare system. But is this even a problem? Well, I believe it is. Universal healthcare is a right. Affordable healthcare is a right, better said. For example, in China, universal healthcare was something that they had for a while. And then in the 90s, they changed, which led to they switched over to a privatized section, which has led to public frustration and even has had violent attacks towards healthcare workers. Obviously, this is not the healthcare workers' fault, it's the system itself that is broken. And I fear that the United States, with public frustration and all these extremist actions that the media seems to be publicizing, might lead to a similar direction. Now, going on to reasons why the United States healthcare system is high, as I mentioned before, the United States has one of the largest private sectors of insurance. We don't have a public insurance except for low-income individuals, such as Obamacare and with the Affordable Care Act, i.e. Obamacare. That being said, healthcare is one of the few things that many Americans have to worry about on a day-to-day basis. It isn't something that can just be pushed aside. Americans have to have insurance to even hold a job or to be able to own property and stuff like that, which is quite unfair when you think about all the financial barriers and decisions that also impedes. For many Americans, healthcare isn't a right, it's more of a luxury. Having healthcare that actually can cover when you need to go somewhere or when you need it oftentimes isn't a possibility. So what can be done? Now, universal healthcare is an option, but for many people, as is the American dream, we think of universal healthcare as something being like socialist or communist, which has a lot of negative ties here in the US. However, if we look at one of our close allies, such as Australia, they have a mixed system. Australia has a system that has a centralized healthcare system, which means that the government puts cap prices on medicine and healthcare services. However, there's also ways for citizens to add on to their services for vision and dental. Australia's system isn't perfect, but it is better, and it is one of the leading countries with the lowest healthcare spending throughout the country. So, finally, affordable healthcare is a right, and we can strive to get affordable healthcare by demanding policy changes from our government and from people in power. We can speak to insurance companies and their representatives in order to make them or strongly influence them to lower their prices and or actually pay for what they say they need to pay. Healthcare is not a luxury, so it is time we stop paying as it is. Thank you. How long was it?